It's a recipe for disaster, but could it be the best Christmas pageant ever? Let's talk about the movie now. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watch Or Pass. I'm here to talk about the best Christmas pageant ever, and I'm wearing my Christmas stuff. It is November. I should not be wearing my Christmas stuff, but this movie's coming out. It's a Christmas movie. Figure why not? So let's talk about this movie coming out November 8th, 2024, just in time for Christmas. It was a new holiday movie with Judy Greer and Pete Holmes, and my hot take is I think you should watch it later. It was okay. It's a faith-based movie that has a good cast, some fun humor, and a good but maybe traditional message. I thought it was okay. I didn't love it as much as I was expected to. My kids liked it though, so take that for what it's worth. It's more of a kid-focused movie. My kid enjoyed it. So there you go. And you're wondering, hey, it's a kids movie. Is it okay for kids? Yeah, it's very okay for kids. I think the worst thing that happens is like one of the kids like smokes a cigar, but all the like potentially concerning stuff, it's censored. So even when there's like cursing, you don't hear it. It's like you don't hear it. It's just kind of like talked about. So it's fine for all kids. I would take any kid to it, but if you are not religious, this movie has a faith message. So that might be a consideration you want to take into account when you're picking a movie. So all that being said, I'm gonna tell you a little about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into a recap. So as you can imagine, there'll be spoilers in the recap section. If you don't know what happens in this movie, and you might not, there is, I guess, a surprise at the end. So maybe you don't want to know. I would turn off when I get to the recap. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. Unless you want to get to those spoilers. So in the best Christmas pageant ever, you have Grace, played by Judy Greer, who volunteers for this town Christmas pageant. It is a tradition. This is a big one. But this year, it seems like maybe some unexpected people might help out in the pageant that could turn it into a disaster or could be just what this needs. So things I liked about this movie. The first, I like the music. It's got, your traditional Christmas music, string music, really beautiful, string music to kind of like set the mood, set the tone. It definitely feels like a Christmas movie. The second thing I love the cast. It's a fun cast. I love Judy Greer. She's fantastic. I love Pete Holmes. They're both really great in this. And then the other cast, the other kids, they're fun. They're kids, so some of the acting is so-so. Overall, it's a pretty fun cast. And look, I really like Judy Greer. So, hey, there you go. The third thing I loved, there's some humor that's funny. It's not very funny. It's not a super funny movie, but there's some funny jokes I chuckled at. Not as many as I was hoping for, but it's there. The fourth thing I love the setting. If you are into Christmas, if you're into Christmas movies, this has snow, this has decorations, this has lights. It's set a little bit in the past, so you've got like that, old town Americana feel to it. So this is definitely a movie that will get you like ready for the Christmas spirit. So all that being said, things I didn't love as much about this movie. The first, I kind of already mentioned it. It's not that funny. I didn't find it that funny. My kid laughed at it, so the humor is geared towards that, but I didn't really find it that funny. I thought it was a little bit slow. Second thing I didn't love as much. I'll go with traditional. Now this is based on a novel. I assume the novel is very old, well, at least oldish. So some of the lines feel a little dated in our current time, and they didn't update them, which I would have liked. I would either like, no, don't include them, or maybe just tweak it a little bit. There was one line that like struck me where like the moms wanted to go home and make dinner and the dads wanted to go home and watch sports. I was like, that doesn't feel right in this time. I know it takes place in the past, but still, it felt weird to hear. So there's a couple instances like that. It is a more like traditional values, I guess, kind of movie. And the third thing I didn't love, there's a very convenient ending. I mean, it's what you expect in a kids movie. A lot of kids movies have very convenient endings, and this is no different. So all that being said, the best Christmas pageant ever comes to theaters on November 8th, 2024. Like I said, I think you should, watch it later, maybe wait for it to come to streaming or on demand. But if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And I'm going to really quickly go into a recap right now. So if you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So in the best Christmas pageant ever, you have this small town. I think the town's called Emmanuel. I think that's what the town is. They're a small town, but every year on Christmas, they have this Christmas pageant. It is a town tradition, and this year is the 75th pageant. But a few things start to go wrong for this very big event. The first, the normal Christmas pageant director has an accident, so she can't do it. So Grace, played by Judy Greer, volunteers, steps up to run the pageant. She wants to show everyone else that she can do it, so she steps up, even though the other moms involved don't think she can do it. They're all moms. Surprise. Now, the other factor is that this family, this family of kids called the Herdmans, there's six of them. They are little terrors. they decide that they're going to come and be in the pageant. They first went to church because they heard that there were snacks there. And then when they got there, they volunteered for the pageant because they thought that they would get more food. And so they are in. But they are little terrors, and so they do things a little bit differently, and that is causing some problems. Now, one thing I didn't mention that I did like, it does have a nice message, right? Like these kids, they're not the traditional church kids. They don't really act very well. And so this uppity, like high and mighty community wants to shun them. But Grace has like the real message of Christmas, or if you want to go into like the real biblical message. And so she decides that, they deserve to be there just like everyone else. And so she allows them to be in the pageant, even though everyone else tells her not to. Originally, this doesn't seem like a good idea. They don't know anything about Christmas. They don't know anything about the Christmas story. They are misbehaved, but Grace keeps pushing for them. She doesn't want to cut them. She doesn't want to do what everyone else wants to do because she thinks that, look, they deserve to be there. Now, even Grace's kids are a little bit against the Herdmans there. They're not nice to her. They're not nice to her kids. They're not nice to anyone. So even Grace's kids like don't like them being there. But this all changes one day when Bob, the father, played by Pete Holmes, takes them on a secret Santa route, and on his route, he delivers a ham to the herdman. And when he's there, like you can see that these kids are doing what they can. Seems like their parents are never around. So this helps to like show Grace's kids that maybe we should cut them some slack. And so this gets Grace's kids on their side. And so her daughter then takes them to the library and they learn about the whole Christmas story and they get super into it. They learn all about the different things like what the historical figures were then. They're really focused on Herod who wanted to kill baby Jesus and they like really are interested in that. There are some funny connections here when they're like researching like all the different historical aspects of the Christmas story. So they do get interested, but they still don't like get on board. They don't do what the town wants. The town wants the same pageant they've seen every year, every time. And these kids, they don't really know the story, so they're gonna like change it. They start asking like very valid questions. And we find out that the main herdman, the oldest herdman, the one that like takes care of the mom, this girl named Imogen, is like she really wants to be an actor. And part of it is because she likes this idea of, for a night, for their performance, they can shed their own lives and like take on someone new. They can be Mary and Joseph. They can be, three wise men who were kings. They can be an angel for one night. And so she really likes this idea. And so she wants to keep going, even though everyone else in the town doesn't want her to. Now, it's the night before the performance. They're on their dress rehearsal. They actually haven't done very much of the play, but they're doing the dress rehearsal. Everything seems to be going okay. And then one of the moms comes in and says like, oh, there's smoke in the bathroom. And she pulls the fire alarm and everyone evacuates from the church. And when the fire department comes, all the parents are like, oh, it must have been the Herdman kids. Like they start fires anyways. It must have been them. So the Herdmans are basically like singled out without any proof. Now, I think Imogen was actually smoking a cigar in the bathroom, so perhaps there could have been a little bit of proof, but they were unfairly targeted. Now, the Herdmans hear this, they leave, and when the fire department gets there, they say there was no fire in the bathroom, but there was this like cake that was being baked that caught on fire, so we put that out. So it seems like everyone jumped to conclusions. The Herdmans didn't start any fire, and the town should be ashamed of themselves. But this makes the Herdmans not want to go. Like this makes Imogen like not want to do this. She thinks that the town doesn't, she doesn't think that she can do it anyways, and the town doesn't want her to do it, so she decides that she's going to pull out. Now, Grace's daughter Beth wants to make this a success, wants to help her mom, but also I think at this point she wants to help the Herdmans out too. So she jumps on her bike on Christmas morning, bikes out to the Herdmans and tries to convince them to come back. Do they? Well, it's the night of the pageant. I don't know why they're doing the Christmas pageant on Christmas. Usually it's Christmas Eve. I mean, that's just my thought. I think it's usually Christmas Eve, but maybe that's not actually how it is. But I would think it would be Christmas Eve because Christmas, you want to like spend it with your family. But it's Christmas. It's the pageant. Everyone's there. We're not sure if the Herdmans will show up, but they do at the very end. They do right before it starts. And they do the show. And they do the show in a very interesting way. They put some of their own touches on it. So like one thing that Imogen does is she burps the baby Jesus before putting him down, which is what she did with her younger sister when she was raising her. So it felt very natural to her. And some of the town like starts to like this. They start to laugh, and some of the parents are uppity. They're like, "Oh, she shouldn't be burping baby Jesus," and the other one's like, "Why? Why? He probably burps." Things like that. Very convenient little like character turns, very convenient like switches of character as the pageant progresses. And as it goes, some of the rough edges of the herdman do get like the town behind them. The youngest plays the angel. She is very loud and she says her line extremely loud, and everyone kind of laughs at that. The wise men, when they come, they give a gift and then they go and they're supposed to like just leave, but they like sit down and people are like, oh my gosh, why are they staying? And the other people are like, well, they had a long trip. Why wouldn't they want to stay? Things like that. And so towards the end, the town gets behind them. And it culminates where at the very end, Imogen is so touched with the message and Christmas and the Christmas story that she just starts crying. Like holding the baby, holding baby Jesus, she starts crying. And this gets the town 100% behind them. They all think that this is the best pageant ever. And so it's a success. It goes off. It had a few hitches, but it was perfectly fine. And everyone is talking about this pageant. Now, we do get kind of like a fast forward after the pageant. Everyone's talking to the Herdmans. They're all very happy there. And Beth, the daughter, invites Imogen to like church the next week. Like they can come back. Maybe she's like, I know you might not come back, but it'd be great to see you next week. Something like that. So it seems like maybe the Herdmans are now going to be part of the town. So fast forward, and now we see Lauren Graham. Lauren Graham is listed on this. She has about a 5-minute cameo. She is talking to the fresh new batch of Christmas pageant kids who want to volunteer. It is, years in the future, and we find out that this is Beth. This is Grace's daughter, all grown up, Lauren Graham. She tells her story. She tells all the kids. All the kids like raise their hands. They want to volunteer. So she gets them all. She tells them to go downstairs and get sorted so they can start rehearsal. And then she goes and like walks over and sees a picture of like the pageant, her pageant, the pageant with the Herdmans framed on the wall. And we also see that the youngest, the one who played the angel, her wings are framed also. So it seems like this was a turning point for the church, maybe the turning point for the town, and they have kind of continued this tradition ever since. So that is the best Christmas pageant ever. Now, during the credits, right before the credits, there are some like fake updates on the different Herdman kids, which is fun. It kind of like tells what happened to them. There is no stinger at the end of the credits. So once you see these updates, you can leave. Although I guess there is a song, I think, performed by George Strait during the credits. So you might want to hear that. I guess he specially recorded a Christmas song for this movie. So there you go. That is the best Christmas pageant ever. Like I said, I think you should watch it later, wait for it to come to streaming or on demand. But if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you. Grace's daughter, Beth.